Because what do we do when we're heartbroken? If you said animate an entire world because it's something that you do have control over, you would be correct. Hey guys, I wanted to share with you guys something that I created when I was, for lack of a better term, very unhinged. This is a project I started I believe it was last June was when I started making these drawings, and I think later that year in September to October, I actually created an animation Instagram account where I post daily animations from our main character, C's life. The Instagram account is C_U_never. with 2 R's. And there I post a new drawing every single day to tell C's story, and her story has drama, it has romance, it has relationships, breakups, disappointments, heartbreaks, ex-stalkers, crazy stories. All from the point of view of our main character C, hence see you never. If you want, you can follow on Instagram. I do want to give the disclaimer because I do consider her account to be a cartoon account. I know that cartoons are enjoyed largely by young children. Obviously, C's story and some of the drawings do contain scenes where she uses curse words or talks about things like sex and, you know, other more mature topics. She does also discuss things that have to do with like her mental health and, you know, really mature concepts of like relationships and sexuality and like that sort of thing. So I don't really feel like this cartoon is made for children. I just wanted to say that. I keep holding my iPad as if I'm gonna reference something on the iPad. I guess I can put this down. I was just like using it to be like, because I do all my drawings on the iPad, so it feels like an extension of the story to like have it with me. So the inspiration to actually make a cartoon Instagram account came from other cartoon Instagram accounts that I followed over the years, to include Pink Cat Daily, Wizard of Barge, Niall Breen Comics, and Maldito Perrito. I think I said that one right, I'm not really sure. These 4 are probably the main ones that I see most on my feed, I interact with the most, I draw the most inspiration from. I knew that when I started making these drawings, I knew that they should have a home on the internet. Just like these people have their own cartoon pages, I wanted my own. I would say that the main reason though that the drawings began in the first place, because the drawings did not by any means start with the intention of like posting them on Instagram. That was not the goal. That honestly at first like really scared me because a lot of the drawings were very personal to me and like things that were going on in my life. So I didn't start out with the intention of making a cartoon account on Instagram. That just kind of developed over time. The main inspiration for starting these drawings actually came from a heartbreak. I think a lot of creative people draw on heartbreak and not so good things that happen in their life as a source of inspiration. I was going through a heartbreak and I was having a really hard time dealing with it. In the past, whenever I had gone through like a breakup or a heartbreak, like something happened, there was like a fight or something happened and occurred, and then we broke up or we stopped talking and then we moved on. This person, like, I really loved him. Nothing bad happened when we broke up. He just, you know, he was my best friend and I was falling in love with him, and he was moving across the country. And so when he actually did move, I was really heartbroken and sad. But fun fact, that person actually ended up moving back to my city where I live, and he's actually now my boyfriend. That relationship was the inspiration to start making these drawings because I felt like I didn't have closure in our relationship because we never defined our relationship. We were never a couple, but yet I had these really intense feelings for him. So I felt like drawing out a character that was me and a character that was him, and like putting in some of our interactions and some of the things that happened between us. In a weird way, it felt like I had control over the situation. It felt like I had more control over my emotions, and I liked that. And it was really helpful, and it helped me like start to get into the process of like moving on and and being okay. What started out as kind of like following very closely what was going on in my life and in my love life and in my relationship ended up turning very fictional. The story does not follow my own personal relationships anymore. So at the beginning, she really was reflective of like what I was going through. But a lot of those I didn't even post on the Instagram account because they were just too, like way too deep, way too personal. Like they just felt like too much. Like I would say most digital creators do today, I use the app Procreate. I recommend this app to everyone, beginners, intermediate, advanced artists, whatever you are. I always say get Procreate. It's such a user-friendly app. It's so easy to use.
I wanted to show you guys exactly what I do to create these cartoon characters and exactly the process that I go to in order to draw them. So first I start off with a technical pen. I've just found that the technical pen works best for me when I'm trying to animate and draw these cartoon characters in my style, so that's what I like to use. I start off with a pen in a red color, and this is mostly just to stand out and be distinguishable between the black lines that we're going to add later. It is in this step that I will sometimes add reference photos. I'll pull up reference photos to make sure that the characters and the way that they're interacting or looking at each other or speaking or touching one another is realistic to a real life situation. So I will sometimes pull up reference photos. So basically anything that is written in red ink is a rough draft. This is just kind of like a general outline for what we're going to go in and clean up later with the actual black lines that are going to be part of the photo. So after I do the red outline and the basic draft of the drawing, I will go in with a black technical pen for all of the formal lines that are actually going to show up in the picture. Then at this point I usually reference my color palette. I have colors picked out specifically to be C's skin tone as well as her hair color. I still haven't named this person that is in the photo with her, but if I am drawing him, he also has a color palette, and then if I'm drawing Hopkins, he has a color palette as well that I can reference really quickly and make sure that the colors are staying consistent throughout the time that I am drawing them, because I do like to experiment in different styles. It's easier to distinguish who the characters are by keeping them the same color. Then after I draw them and fill them in with the correct colors, I like to use the painting tool for texture. And once I do kind of like a rough outline of the painting, I like to smudge it in to kind of like blend it into the photo and give it a little bit more texture. And then I like to draw the eyes last, or at least leave them on a layer that will be on top, because I like the eyes to really stand out. I don't like them to be covered by any texture, and I don't usually add texture to their eyes. And yeah, that is how I draw my cartoon characters.
I actually want to go in and reference the Instagram page for this part because I want to talk about how my style of drawing the characters of my cartoon series has changed over time. So the intention behind C and what she is as a character is that she is an axolotl / salamander. She's kind of a mix between the two. I just want to say, I know everybody loves axolotls now because of the Squishmallows, but I actually loved axolotls for years before this, and I always wanted to make an axolotl cartoon character. So I know that people, when they ask like, oh, what is C supposed to be, and I say an axolotl, they're always like, oh, because like everybody's obsessed with axolotls now. No, I was always obsessed with axolotls. I've always wanted to get a pet axolotl, but if you guys don't know, they're actually really hard to take care of because they live in a mix of a saltwater and freshwater environment. You gotta keep that up. So my aunt and uncle own an aquarium store, and they won't even get them because they say that they're just too hard to take care of, and they can get sick really easily if you do not take care of them. So starting out, I was kind of very true to like the salamander axolotl look of C. There's so many, I wish I could pull these up. I don't think I saved them or have them anywhere, but there were so many drafts of what C was going to look like, right? Because when you're creating a character, you go through like, what's their hair gonna look like? What are they gonna wear? What's their body type? You gotta go through all of that, and you gotta experiment and see what looks good on your character and if it's the vision you have in your head. And I don't know what those things on the side of the axolotl are called, that they kind of flow in the water when they're swimming. But I wanted to kind of incorporate that onto C so that she looks like an axolotl. I was trying to draw her just with those little I don't even know what to call them, the little flappy things. But she just, with just those and no hair, she just didn't look as girly and cute and like little and petite as I wanted her to. At first, when I was trying to keep her true to like the axolotl, I made her hair very short, very like, it would always come down to like here on her, and it'd be on one side or the other, and it'd be very like slim, is that the word? Skinny? And I would stay true to like the very oval shaped face, the wide set eyes, the small nostrils. Her mouth would be pretty wide, just because that's what a salamander or an axolotl really looks like. Over time, she definitely took on a more of a human form. Her head is a little bit smaller, more circular, definitely, longer hair, and you know, her eyes and mouth, and even her nose, the way I've turned it up on the outsides, kind of looks more human. I mean, she obviously still doesn't look human because she's purple and she has pink hair. But I've lately been liking the style of making her more human. But I definitely still want to continue to experiment with different styles. If you scroll through the Instagram page, you'll see where I had kind of dabbled in different styles and tried drawing her in different ways. And she will look different in some different styles of my own drawings. You know, she still has her signature purple skin, pink hair, and you can tell that it's C and you're supposed to be portraying C. She just doesn't look like an axolotl anymore. She kind of looks like a hybrid human axolotl. And similar to C, the other main character, Hopkins, who is, you know, the boy in C's life that she can't really get rid of. He keeps coming back, whether it is to save the day, or they just run into each other, or he shows up a lot in her dreams. He is also, I started out, because he's a frog, obviously, and I started out making him look very frog-like. I think if you look at the first picture that I ever drew of the two of them, which was how they met, by the way, which is how me and my boyfriend met. They met in a job interview because he was her boss. We don't need to talk about that. I drew him very frog-like, even down to the shape of his head, the little balls on the tip of his fingers. I made him look very frog-like. I think over time, similar to C, he's become more human. His eyes aren't on the top of his head anymore. They're kind of more lower set into his face to make him look a little bit more human. You know, he still looks like a frog, obviously, but also I drew C's new love interest, pretty human from the beginning of his time in the story. He still doesn't have a name though, so let me know what his name should be in the comments down below. I think it's really obvious when you come to C's page that some parts of her story are really personal and they are drawn from a really personal place. So a lot of people want to know what parts are part of the story and what parts are your story and how much of yourself is reflected in the character. The whole concept started from a place that was like so personal and like just me drawing out my feelings, basically. You can tell that C's feeling down, she's feeling like she hates herself, she's feeling depressed, and that's usually because it's a reflection of like what I'm actually feeling in my real life. Most of the interaction she has with others is to kind of move the story along. As for that part of her story, those are fictional. There's not really a storyline in there anymore that is something that's like going on in my life. A lot of the posts are to be like funny or relatable or just something that somebody else might see and be like, oh hey, I'm feeling that too, or oh hey, I went through that too. Because even when she is going through like something with a boy or an interaction with a friend or, you know, somebody else, it's usually something that someone might see and be like, oh, I've dealt with that before. Even if it's not something I'm dealing with at the time, it could be something that I dealt with in the past. It could be something that I will deal with in the future. We don't know, but I just feel like the relatability is so fun because people will see this and they'll be like, oh my god, I sent this picture to my friend because it reminded me of like this guy that she was talking to. And I just think that part of it is so much fun. The story just has taken on a life of its own, so it really doesn't have any aspects anymore that are like rooted in any truth. But yeah, like I said, a lot of the emotions that C feels are reflective of emotions I'm feeling, because in that way she kind of is an extension of myself. Because at the end of the day, does she have her own story? Yes, but she's still my art that I created, and so I'm still going to use her as a medium to express what I'm feeling. I think I mentioned this in the video, but personally I think that any form of like personal heartbreak or tragedy is a way to draw out inspiration and just a passion to share your art, no matter what that is, whether it's drawing, writing, creating music. Have I been called the weird girl that draws cartoons? Yes, I actually have been called that by someone in real life. And to be honest, I don't really care. Expressing your emotions and finding a way through art to cope with them is more important than what people will think about your art. You should channel what you're feeling and put it into your artwork, and that doesn't mean that you have to make an Instagram account. You for sure do not. You don't have to share your art with the world if you don't want to. I just personally think it's really fun because I think Instagram gives you a place to like connect with other people who are similar minded, and also it just gives you like a cute place to store all of your artwork. So I think that's really fun. If you guys are thinking about starting a channel, starting an Instagram account, anything like that, I think you guys should go for it because this has been so healing for me and honestly has gotten me through a lot in the past like nearly year since I've been doing this. If you're still watching me talk about my cartoon at the end of this video, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you sometime soon with another one. Bye!